Last Sunday afternoon, the light through our living room window was so soft it felt conspiratorial, as if the sun itself were whispering secrets I hadn't yet learned. I curled up on the gray sectional with a mystery novel in hand, the kind of novel that pulls you in with a single sentence and doesn't let go until the last page. As I turned the pages, sipping chamomile tea, I felt content, until Greg walked in with that strange look I'd seen only once before, the day he'd lost his cool over nothing. "Hey, babe, can we talk?" he asked, scratching the nape of his neck. His voice, normally warm and steady, wavered like a loose string on a frayed sweater. "Of course," I said, bracing myself for that familiar tension creeping back into our home. "Remember my Key West trip?" he began. "Well, he wants to bring friends along now," he said, as if referring to some mythical third party. That detail alone put me on edge. Something told me this wasn't going to be a casual group getaway. I closed my book. "Sounds fun, but maybe exchange emergency contact info? A big group on the road, better safe than sorry, right?" His face shut down. "Why do we need to do that? It's just a road trip, not a mission to Mars." His outburst hit me between the shoulder blades. I reached for his hand. "I worry about you. It's a long drive." His reaction was out of proportion. "Fine. I shouldn't go, then." He stormed off, leaving me breathless and puzzled. In that moment, a whisper of doubt made itself known. Why would a safety suggestion make him abandon a trip he'd planned for weeks? I dismissed it as work stress, he'd been under so much lately. But even as I told myself it was nothing, a quiet seed of suspicion was planted. Chapter 1: Fractures in a Perfect Facade. Life returned to our usual rhythm. I went to work, he headed to his office downtown, and our evenings were spent discussing mundane matters. Yet beneath the surface, something had changed. A subtle shift in the air, like the faint rumble of thunder before a storm. 2 days after the cancelled trip, Greg mentioned it again. "I already booked a non-refundable flight to Key West," he said, as if remembering a forgotten punchline. I blinked. "Flight? I thought this was a road trip." He shrugged. "I was flying down first, meeting them there. Now I lose that money." He sounded annoyed at losing a few $100s. "So you want me to reimburse you?" I asked. He leaned back, arms crossed. "Your concerns made me cancel. It's only fair." I shook my head. "It was your decision, Greg." He huffed. "Fine. I'll find work outside the city to cover it." He grabbed a bag, gave me a terse kiss, and left. I stared at the door long after he disappeared, my mind racing. What was this really about? That night, I FaceTimed him. He answered from a dimly lit hotel room. "Hey," I said, scanning behind him. Makeup brushes, a floral scarf draped over the chair. A woman's belongings unmistakably out of place. His eyes flicked to the scarf. "Just work," as I said. I forced calm. "Okay. Talk later." End call. My heart pounded. He was cheating. Chapter 2: Gathering Evidence. For the next 2 days, I silently gathered proof. I didn't want to accuse him without certainty. I reviewed our bank statements, charges at hotels he couldn't explain. I combed through phone records, late-night calls to Mark, a contact I had never met. I even checked his car, finding lipstick on the steering wheel and a pressed receipt from a waterfront bar. Each discovery was a spike in my chest. With trembling hands, I created a private folder on my laptop labeled Truth. Screenshots, photos, and receipts all went straight in. My mind raced through what to do next. Confront him? Hire a private investigator? Or orchestrate an exposure so grand he'd never forget? Then I thought about all the heartbreak I'd seen online, infidelity stories where women cried in hotel lobbies and begged their husbands for answers. I refused to be that wife. If Greg wanted a spectacle, he'd get one, on my terms. Chapter 3: Crafting the Perfect Dinner. I decided on a dinner. Not a small family meal, but a full-blown gathering, friends, family, his parents, everyone who believed in our marriage. I'd extend a genuine invitation, it's been too long. Let's have dinner on Saturday. I enlisted my best friend, Sarah, to help with planning. She'd been in my corner for years, a patient listener and occasional partner in schemes. Over lattes at our favorite cafe, I laid out my plan. We'll invite his parents, my parents, and a few friends. He'll think I'm trying to patch things up. Sarah's eyes gleamed. Perfect. Everyone loves a reconciliation dinner. He'll be so proud of you, until everything unravels. We spent the week assembling the guest list, ordering food, and arranging seating. I casually mentioned it to Greg when he dropped by on Thursday evening. Saturday dinner at ours. Why don't you call Mom and Dad? I'll invite my folks. He nodded, relief washing over his face. Great idea. He had no idea who his fifth guest would be, Markina, his mistress. I had looked her up through her email, which I discovered in his sent items under Mark, and sent her an invite under the guise of a friend. Hi Mark, I wrote, my husband mentioned you recently. We're having a dinner on Saturday with friends and family. I'd love for you to join. To my surprise, she accepted. Curious and unaware of the trap, she filled out the RSVP. Chapter 4: The Night of the Dinner. Saturday arrived. The house smelled of rosemary chicken roasting and garlic bread baking. Candles flickered on the dining table, interwoven with fresh flowers. My heart pounded, but I smiled and moved with ease, plate by plate, glass by glass. Guests arrived, his parents, soft-spoken people who had doted on us since we married. My parents, ever supportive. Friends from college, co-workers, neighbors. Greg greeted each with warmth, still blissfully ignorant. Finally, Markina walked in. She wore a simple dress, carrying a bottle of wine. Everyone turned to see her, she was attractive in an understated way. Greg's smile faltered when he realized who she was. I rose and tapped my glass. Silence fell like velvet. Thank you all for coming, I began softly. It means the world. I gestured to Greg. Greg wanted this dinner to be a celebration of family and friendship. But tonight, I want to celebrate truth. His cheeks paled. His mother frowned. What do you mean? She whispered to my father. Greg, I said, locking eyes with him, I invited Markina here intentionally. She's the woman known as Mark in your phone. Gasps erupted. The soft clink of silverware was the only sound. His father rose, voice shaking. Markina? Who are you? She looked around, confusion written on her face. Mark? No, my name is Markina. Greg invited me to Key West. My turn. Yes. He booked a flight, said it was for work, then said he cancelled it at my urging. But here you are. I motioned to the reporter-style slideshow I had queued up on the TV behind me. Photos of hotel lobbies, FaceTime screenshots, receipt after receipt scrolled across the screen. The room spun with shock. Greg crumbled into his chair as if the weight of every lie had finally settled. Chapter 5: Unraveling. His mother rushed to his side. Greg, why? Her voice cracked. He stared at me, tears in his eyes, tears I knew were too little, too late. I'm sorry, he gasped. Friends whispered, some looking at me with sympathy, others at him with disdain. Markina stood frozen. When she recognized herself in the photos, she backed away. I watched, feeling both wrath and relief coursing through me. This was the moment I'd engineered, a moment of reckoning. No shouting, no furniture overturned, only the quiet devastation of truth laid bare. Chapter 6: The Aftermath. Dinner ended awkwardly. Guests departed in silence, avoiding eye contact. Eventually, my parents insisted I join them for coffee, and his parents followed later. Greg stayed behind, eyes downcast. I poured us a drink. Go on, I said, placing his untouched wine on the counter. Say you're sorry. He stared, shaking his head. I can't believe I did this to you. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know you didn't mean this exact hurt, I replied gently. But you did. And you chose her over me. He looked at me, broken. I never meant for it to go this far. You chose to fly to Key West. You chose her. I paused. But tonight, you chose truth. He nodded, tears falling. I understand. Chapter 7: A New Beginning. Within days, I contacted a divorce attorney. The illusions of our perfect life dissolved as paperwork moved. I stayed in the house for a few weeks, using Greg's hotel booking for my own retreat. I flew to Key West, alone, and watched the sun set from a secluded beach. The waves whispered possibilities, and for the first time in months, I breathed without the weight of betrayal on my chest. Back home, I packed the remaining boxes. Furniture, clothes, memories, some I kept, most I let go. Greg moved out on a Tuesday. We exchanged final words at the front door. I'm sorry, he said again. I stepped aside, smiling. Me too. For believing in us. And then he was gone. Epilogue. As the last box closed, I stood in the quiet living room. Sunlight streamed in, softer than before, but now unburdened by deception. I poured a glass of iced tea and sat on the couch, my mystery novel still waiting on the coffee table. I opened my laptop and drafted an email to Markina, a brief apology for the public scene. She wrote back, no hard feelings. I'm moving on, too. Life, I realized, is full of unexpected plot twists. Some stories end with heartbreak, others begin with it. As the waves continue their endless dance on Key West sands, so too does life press on. Tonight, I sleep in peace, knowing betrayal doesn't have to be the final chapter. In fact, it often sets the stage for a stronger, freer beginning, one I'm eager to write.
Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories.